This wasn't just a good day at practice. For Shedeur Sanders, this was a declaration, a warning shot, a very loud, very public, QB1 is here, message to the Browns, the Panthers, and frankly, the rest of the NFL. From the moment he stepped onto the field for that joint session with Carolina, the energy shifted. You could feel it, not just from the crowd watching, but from the players themselves. Guys on both sides of the ball were locked in because they knew this wasn't just another August run-through. This was a chance to see if all that hype around Shedeur was real. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Spoiler alert, it was, and then you throw in the Jimmy Horn Jr. reunion? Forget about it. The chemistry was instant. These two have been building this connection since their college days, and you could see it in the way they worked. Short routes, deep balls, quick adjustments mid-play. They didn't need a full sentence to communicate. A glance, a hand signal, and boom, the ball was exactly where Jimmy needed it to be. It wasn't just about the completions, though. It was the way Shedeur commanded the offense. Remember, this is a guy who still hasn't had consistent first-team reps. He's been operating mostly with the second and third squads, yet when he stepped in against a starting NFL defense, there was zero hesitation. He was running the huddle like he'd been there for years. The thing people keep underestimating about Shedeur is that his confidence isn't just performance bravado. It's calculated. He's not just talking. He's studying, processing, and adapting on the fly. During this session, you could literally see him bait the Panthers linebackers into committing early, then adjust to hit his receivers in stride. That's veteran stuff, and it's terrifying to think he's doing it as a rookie. And look, when a guy like Myles Garrett publicly gives you props, that's no small thing. Myles doesn't hand out compliments like candy. If he says your leadership and energy are lifting the team, you've earned it. This is one of the most dominant defenders in the league. And even he's acknowledging that Shedeur isn't just some rookie waiting his turn. He's already impacting the culture. Then there's Bryce Young, who could have easily given the standard, yeah, he's a good player, line and moved on. Instead, he went out of his way to talk about Shedeur's journey, his composure, and his potential. That's not just respect. That's a peer recognizing another future star. Colin Cowherd chiming, and was almost inevitable. The man loves a narrative, and Shedeur's is tailor-made for TV. But what stood out was Colin's emphasis on Shedeur's system knowledge. He wasn't just saying, the kid can throw. He was saying, this kid understands the offense at a level that makes him plug-and-play ready. For a rookie quarterback, that's huge. Now, here's the underrated part of this whole thing. The Browns' sideline reaction. When Shedeur made those tight window completions, you could see guys light up. Receivers were jogging back to the huddle with grins. Linemen were giving those subtle little nods that mean, yeah, we can win with this dude. That's locker room buy-in. And once you got that, the front office has to pay attention. Of course, this whole performance also put a spotlight and a lot of heat on the rest of the Browns QB room. Because when your rookie is making throws and live drills that your veterans haven't been hitting consistently in weeks, that's going to get noticed. You can't hide from it. And make no mistake, this wasn't about luck. This was about preparation. Shedeur has been dissecting tape like his life depends on it, and it shows. He's reading defenses faster, adjusting protections, and keeping drives alive with both his arm and his decision-making. You can't fake that. This is why the upcoming preseason game against the Panthers feels like more than just a warm-up. It's essentially Shedeur's audition for the future. The coaches will tell you they're evaluating everyone, but you can bet they're watching to see if this joint practice momentum translates under the lights. If it does, things in Cleveland are going to get real interesting real fast. What makes this whole thing even more compelling is that Shedeur's rise isn't coming with a side of arrogance that alienates the locker room. He's confident, borderline cocky at times, but it's backed by performance and work ethic. Teammates can smell fake swagger a mile away, and Shedeur's isn't fake. That's part of why even defensive veterans are buying in. You see it in the way they interact with him after drives. Not just polite encouragement, but genuine competitive respect. They're testing him in practice, trying to rattle him, and instead of cracking, he's coming back sharper the next rep. The thing everyone's going to be watching for now is consistency. It's one thing to light it up in a joint practice. It's another to do it week after week against different defensive looks with real game pressure. But the way Shedeur carries himself, you get the sense he's not just aiming for a good rookie year. He's aiming to redefine the expectations for a Browns quarterback altogether. And honestly, that's the part that's got fans buzzing. This isn't the usual. Maybe he could develop into a starter. Energy. This is, if we start him now, what's the ceiling? Energy. The kind of buzz that turns preseason games into must-watch TV and makes opposing defenses start studying film early. For now, the official word from Kevin Stefanski is that Shedeur's developing well and part of the future. But after a joint practice like this, that future might be coming a lot sooner than anyone expected. And if you're Dylan Gabriel or anyone else in that QB room, you're suddenly on notice. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just chasing the starting job. He's building the case that it already belongs to him. If he comes out in that Panthers game and backs up what we just saw, the Browns quarterback conversation won't just be a debate. It'll be a landslide. And when that happens, all those haters who said he was just hype, they're going to have a whole lot of explaining to do. Let's peel back the curtain even further. Because what happened in that joint practice wasn't just a highlight reel for Shedeur Sanders. It was a domino effect, and every piece that fell afterward has shifted the power dynamics inside the Browns organization. The first thing that changed? The internal hierarchy in the quarterback room. Before that session with the Panthers, the unspoken rule was clear. Veterans first, rookies wait their turn. Shedeur was technically the future, but the present was still supposed to be about the guys with more NFL snaps. That rule book basically got set on fire the second Shedeur started torching Carolina's secondary in front of half the league's media. You could feel it in the next day's film session. Normally, the breakdowns are clinical. Pause, rewind, point out reads, footwork, decision-making. But when the clips of Shedeur threading balls between defenders rolled, there were audible reactions in the room. Not from coaches, from players. A couple of receivers even let out those sounds that you usually only hear after a nasty crossover in the NBA. That's when you know respect is being earned. Meanwhile, Dylan Gabriel sat through that same film session, knowing every misread of his was going to be played right after Shedeur's completions. That's a mental war in itself. And while Gabriel didn't say anything out loud, guys noticed body language. And here's where it gets interesting. When a quarterback starts losing confidence, it doesn't just affect him, it affects the entire offense. Linemen block harder when they believe in the guy under center. Receivers run routes sharper when they trust the ball is coming in stride. Running backs pick up blitzes with more intensity when they know a big play could follow. Shedeur's performance has already started shifting those energy patterns toward him. But this isn't just a football thing anymore. It's bleeding into the business side. Front office executives started looking at those practice highlights and thinking about ticket sales, TV coverage, and yes, merchandise. You can't tell me they didn't notice that after Shedeur's Panthers practice footage hit social media, his jersey pre-orders spiked again. That's money talking. And in the NFL, money talks a lot louder than depth charts. One high-ranking exec, let's just say someone whose job security is tied to revenue growth, reportedly brought up Shedeur's name during a completely unrelated marketing meeting. The pitch wasn't about whether he was ready as a quarterback. It was about maximizing momentum. Translation, ride the wave while the public's paying attention. That's the kind of internal chatter that can start nudging coaching decisions, even if nobody wants to admit it publicly. Then you have the locker room politics. Veteran leaders like Myles Garrett are in Shedeur's corner. Not because they're anti-Gabriel, but because they can see where the energy's going. When the most respected voices in the locker room start leaning toward a younger player, it changes the culture. Those guys influence the mood at practice, the intensity during games, and even the unspoken pecking order in team conversations. And it's not lost on anyone that Shedeur is pulling this off without pandering. He's not going around the room campaigning for the job. He's not throwing shade in interviews. He's letting his reps and his results do the talking. That kind of quiet confidence is a weapon in itself, because it forces everyone else to acknowledge you on merit alone. Now, The coaching staff is in a tight spot. Kevin Stefanski knows that handing Shedeur the starting job too soon could be painted as a media-driven decision. That's a dangerous look for a head coach. It risks undermining the idea that the locker room is a pure meritocracy. But Stefanski also knows that if Shedeur keeps performing at this level, not making a move could be just as dangerous. Imagine the Browns dropping their first couple of games while a red-hot rookie sits on the bench. The noise from the fan base and the press would be deafening. Behind closed doors, the coaching meetings have reportedly shifted from when will Shedeur be ready to what will the transition plan look like when he takes over? That's not a small change. That's the kind of reframing that tells you the writing is already on the wall. They're just figuring out how to roll out without creating a civil war in the QB room. And here's the subtle, underrated factor: Shedeur's adaptability. The Panthers' practice didn't just showcase his arm. It showed his ability to adjust mid-drive. Carolina's defense threw him disguised coverages, late safety rotations, and even a couple of well-timed blitzes. Instead of forcing bad throws or panicking, he shifted protections, made quick decisions, and either got the ball out or checked into safer plays. That's veteran-level composure, and it's exactly what wins over offensive coordinators. Players talk, too. Word about Shedeur's performance has already bounced around the league. You better believe there are Browns players texting friends on other teams saying, "Yeah, the rookie's legit." That kind of buzz makes its way into media coverage, which in turn applies even more pressure on the team to capitalize on it. There's also a leadership component here that's been overlooked. Shedeur's relationship with Jimmy Horn Jr. is giving the Browns something rare: a built-in chemistry between QB and receiver that doesn't require months of adjustment. In the NFL, timing is everything, and these two already have it down. That's an advantage the coaching staff can't ignore, especially when trying to design plays that produce immediate results. On the flip side, Gabriel's situation is quietly becoming a cautionary tale. He's stuck in an impossible position of having to outperform a rookie who's already captured the locker room and the fan base. That's not just about making throws. That's about winning a PR battle you didn't even sign up for. Every time Gabriel has a good day at practice, it barely makes a ripple. Every time Shedeur hits one highlight pass, it's all over social media before lunch. That imbalance affects decision-makers, whether they admit it or not. In a league where attention equals money, the guy who commands the spotlight has leverage. And right now, Shedeur's leverage is growing by the day. There's even been quiet talk about how starting him sooner could set up the Browns for long-term cap flexibility. Rookie QB contracts are gold for NFL teams because they allow more money to be spent on building the roster elsewhere. If Shedeur proves he can handle the starting job this year, Cleveland could suddenly find themselves with the kind of financial breathing room that makes Super Bowl runs possible. That's a big-picture incentive that could outweigh short-term caution. Then there's a human factor, and this is where it gets really interesting. Players don't just want a quarterback who can throw. They want someone they believe can lead them into battle. Shedeur's already got guys believing, and once that belief sets in, it's hard to reverse. Even if Gabriel had a string of perfect practices, there's a growing sense that the locker room wants Shedeur to be the guy. And if that's the case, the Browns' leadership might be facing a choice that isn't really a choice at all. Sure, they could keep Gabriel in the starting spot to protect the rookie or stick with experience. But if the team believes more in Shedeur and the fans are chanting his name by week 2, how long can they realistically hold that line? This is the storm that's brewing in Cleveland. It's not just about who throws the better ball. It's about momentum, perception, and the kind of cultural shift that can change a franchise's trajectory. And right now, Shedeur Sanders has all of it in his favor. If he comes out in the preseason game and backs up the hype from the Panthers practice, this QB competition stops being a competition. It becomes a countdown. Most people think a quarterback controversy is settled on the field. Coaches watch the tape, track completion percentages, measure decision-making speed, and then hand out the job. But in 2025, it's way messier. Winning the job in this league isn't just about reading a defense. It's about controlling a narrative. And Shedeur? He's already taken over the narrative without even being officially named the starter. One angle nobody's talking about is how he's rewiring the practice culture. Before Shedeur came in, Browns' practices had a rhythm: slow installs, controlled tempo, reps spaced out. But the second he started getting more snaps, that tempo changed. He runs the offense like a 2-minute drill, even when it's the first set of the day. Receivers hustle back to the line faster. Coaches find themselves skipping over long pauses between reps just to keep pace with him. That shift doesn't show up on a stat sheet, but it matters, because the faster and sharper your practice pace is, the more it bleeds into game day performance. Even defensive guys are getting pulled into it. Myles Garrett's already mentioned in passing that going up against Shedeur forces him to tighten up, because he's hitting windows so quick they barely have time to adjust. That means both sides of the ball are getting better just by having him out there. Gabriel? He doesn't push the defense the same way. His style is slower, more deliberate. That's fine for film study, but it doesn't elevate the collective energy like Shedeur does. Then there's the locker room economy. In any NFL building, there's an invisible trade system. Who gets the best locker spots? Who controls the AUX cord? Who's the go-to guy for breaking down film after hours? These things sound small, but they're signals of influence. Shedeur's already earning currency in that system. The younger guys, especially rookies and second-year players, are gravitating toward him. He's building an inner circle that cuts across offense and defense, something Gabriel's never quite done. When your influence crosses positional boundaries, you're no longer just a quarterback, you're the quarterback. And here's something that'll make the Browns' front office sweat. Shedeur's family factor. Deion Sanders doesn't just have a big platform. He has a megaphone that can blast through the NFL's usual PR filters. If the Browns hesitate to give Shedeur the starting job, when the locker room's clearly behind him, they risk that narrative spilling into the public through the Coach Prime network. And when that happens, good luck containing it. The Browns have to be careful here. Mishandling Shedeur doesn't just cause local backlash. It turns into a national talking point overnight. On the business side, Shedeur's pulling levers the Browns didn't even know existed. His personal content machine is so fast that highlight clips from practice are edited, branded, and posted before the team's own media department gets theirs out. That might sound harmless, but it's actually huge. It means his voice is controlling the first impression fans get, not the teams. And in today's sports world, first impressions stick harder than press releases. Sponsorship dynamics are shifting too. Some local Cleveland businesses that normally partner with the team's star veterans are already sliding into Shedeur's camp. Not officially, but they're testing the waters with small collaborations, social media mentions, and product placements. That tells you the money people think he's the future. In the NFL, once the sponsors believe in you, your job security jumps by default. We also need to talk about film intelligence. One of the most overlooked parts of Shedeur's rise is how quickly he's adapting to NFL-level disguise packages. Carolina's defense didn't just line up vanilla. They threw late safety rotations, walked linebackers in and out of the box, and baited them with disguised man-zone looks. Most rookies fall for at least one of those in a joint practice. Shedeur? He identified them pre-snap and adjusted without hesitation. That kind of mental processing is what makes coaches trust you to start, because they know you won't crumble in the chaos of a real game. And then there's the contrast factor. Every time Shedeur hits a tight window throw in stride, it gets compared directly to a Gabriel misfire. Even if Gabriel's overall day isn't terrible, the difference in confidence level between them is obvious. Teammates feel it. Coaches feel it. The media feels it. And once that comparison locks in publicly, the underperformer is basically boxed into a backup identity whether they deserve it or not. One underrated shift? The fan demographic change. The Browns have a traditionally older, die-hard fan base. But Shedeur's pulling in a younger crowd, college football followers, social media savvy fans, and even casual viewers who just like the Sanders brand. That creates a split in the audience. The old guard still cautious, the new wave fully on board. But over time, that younger wave grows louder, especially online. And in today's NFL, the online noise reaches ownership faster than stadium chants do. Let's not ignore the team marketing machine either. Even if the Browns haven't officially crowned him QB1, their social accounts are leaning heavily into Shedeur highlights. You'll notice the captions are getting bolder, the camera angles more cinematic when it's him throwing. That's not by accident. It's soft launch marketing. They're preparing fans for the inevitability. Gabriel's biggest problem isn't just Shedeur's skill, it's Shedeur's momentum. Once a player gets that momentum rolling, the other guy has to produce something earth-shattering to swing it back. And Gabriel's running out of opportunities before the preseason ends. Right now, Shedeur's earning himself more first-team reps week by week, which means Gabriel's rhythm is breaking down further. It's a self-feeding cycle. More reps for Shedeur mean better results, which earn him even more reps, while Gabriel slips further into rust mode. And here's a sneaky point most outsiders miss. Shedeur's mic'd up presence. When the NFL Films crews are around, some players shy away, some play it up. Shedeur threads the needle perfectly. Confident banner, sharp on-field commands, but nothing that comes off as fake. Those moments become sound bites become narratives, and narratives drive public perception. Coaches might pretend they don't care about that stuff, but the truth? They know it matters in a league where your QB is the face of the franchise. After that Panthers session, a couple of Carolina defenders reportedly told Browns players, "Yeah, he's the real deal." That matters more than fans realize. When opponents respect a rookie publicly, it forces your own team to reevaluate. Lastly, let's talk about timing. The Browns' schedule this year isn't friendly early on. If they open with tough matchups, it makes sense to throw a rookie in there, because if he struggles, you can say, "Hey, look at the schedule." But if he steals a win or two against those tough teams, now you've got a sensation on your hands. The timing of his rise might actually be perfect. The big takeaway? Shedeur isn't just winning a job. He's reshaping the entire Browns ecosystem. From practice tempo, to locker room alliances, to marketing strategies, to fan demographics, to sponsorship shifts, he's already functioning as a centerpiece of the franchise. The title of QB1 might still be unofficial, but in every way that matters, he's already there.